Hello everyone, today I have a very important message which I wish to bring to your attention. This affects your future and that of everyone in Ireland and concerns the new EU Asylum and Migration Pact narrowly passed recently in the EU Parliament. The measures of this pact are designed to further consolidate the common European asylum system already in place. Now, as to what this means for you and everyone else in Ireland, I want to refer specifically to one of the 5 measures which is of profound importance, and it's the Asylum and Migration Management Regulation. This regulation, among other things, involves the EU applying a quota of asylum applicants, which will be required to be accepted by member states in cases of either migratory pressure and/or an emergency. Think war, famine or climate change. If any member state, including Ireland, does not want to accept their designated quota, they will have to pay a minimum, which means it can increase at any time, monetary contribution of €20,000 per asylum applicant per year that they refuse to relocate, or offer alternative solidarity mechanisms to the same value. So what does this mean? It means this pact will give the EU wide powers to centrally impose the relocation of asylum seekers in member states. Italy alone last year, which is only one southern European state, had over 150,000 asylum applicants. Also, there is a formula that will be used to determine the quota of relocations, which will apply to member states, and we will have no control over it. The formula relates to the GDP of each state, and as the GDP of Ireland is artificially inflated because of all the multinationals here, we will end up taking a disproportionate number of allocations for that reason. There is huge scope for abuse, and more importantly, this will further erode our sovereignty, with a quota expected every year. And if the quota target is not met, will involve Ireland having to pay a penalty permanently, as previously described. Bear in mind, we are already in receipt of approximately 14,000 international protection applicants every year in Ireland, and this quota will be on top of that, including the 100,000 or so Ukrainians who are already here. If we do not comply with these requests, we will be subject to infringement proceedings, just like Poland, Hungary and the Czech Republic were in 2015, when they refused to accept relocated applicants pursuant to their EU obligations. Ireland is under a lot of pressure right now. The people, especially in rural areas where asylum applicants are being housed, are fraught with fear and despair. We are already at tipping point. This could eventually and potentially send us into a serious crisis. Infrastructure such as medical care and other facilities are already overly stretched, with the native Irish people suffering the most. If we have to take relocated asylum seekers, we cannot apply our own laws, for example under the Immigration Act, and this is a potential security risk. A country that has lost control of its borders has lost its sovereignty. Relocations do nothing to address the underlying causes, and all it does is move the problem around Europe. Many have called for a referendum on this issue, which polls have indicated is, after housing, the one of most concern to the majority of Irish people, which brings me to the essence of this video. As many of you will be aware, there is a clause in our Constitution, Article 29(4)(6), described as the Necessitated Obligations Clause, which ensures that where Ireland is bound by EU law, no constitutional challenge can ever be taken. However, at this moment in time, uniquely, Ireland is not bound by issues relating to asylum and migration as contained in this pact, unless and until we opt into those provisions. Why is that? By virtue of Protocol 21 of one of the treaties, Ireland is not bound by community law in the area which includes asylum and immigration, unless and until we agree to opt into those provisions. So at the moment we are opted out, so to speak. And as we have not yet opted in, what this means for us is that the Necessitated Obligations Clause in the Irish Constitution does not apply right now to the measures contained in this pact. So therefore, if this pact is in breach of our Constitution, which many believe it is, because it transfers our sovereignty in this area to the EU, it may now be subject to a constitutional challenge. Therefore, there must be a public debate and legal consideration must be given to the prospect that the ratio of the judges in the 2 iconic Supreme Court decisions of Crotty and Pringle could apply to enable a constitutional referendum. Not only that, if these measures under the Pact are in contravention of our sovereignty, these issues must be brought to the attention of the Irish people, if not by the government, then by members of the Oireachtas. It is their duty to the Irish people, it is their duty to the people they purport to represent, so that a proper public debate can take place with consideration of a referendum to determine the wishes of the people on this fundamental matter. This is a phenomenal window of opportunity, potentially, which must not be missed. It would not only be a travesty of justice, but an assault on the integrity of our democratic process if this government were not to seek and make available to the public an official opinion from the Office of the Attorney General on whether this issue now enables a constitutional referendum on the basis that the proposed opt-in to this pact or any aspect of it would involve an abdication and alienation, transfer or subordination of policy formation, or the ceding of our sovereignty, as stated by the Supreme Court in the case of Pringle, hereinbefore referred to. It therefore behoves every single member of the Oireachtas in Ireland to insist on a delay to enable these processes to take place. Any attempt to steamroll the process of an Oireachtas vote to opt into these measures, which is already happening, if you listen to the recent concerns of Senator Michael McDowell, must be met with the most powerful resistance. To all the politicians out there, this may be the last opportunity you will get to redeem yourselves before the next election. To everyone listening, please bombard every single politician you know. Get them to listen to this video. This may be our last chance as a nation to save ourselves. Once our Oireachtas votes by a majority to opt into this pact, we can never ever opt out and our fate is sealed. Time is of the essence. Please act quickly. Please share this video widely. Thank you for listening. Until next time, namaste.